Looks like a sizable move down. Off the overnight highs, of course. SMT between ES and NQ. This looks good. I like it. All right, now that we're in this cluster here, $71.18 here. Sitting under the centroid, line down to 71.25 is locally supported. 71.25 can be sticky as long as downside pivot holds. Downside pivot is at 70.94. It is low probability reversion line. Guess we're going to 70.94. And there's the gap fill. like the gap is filled. Hey, Koshik. Let me show you. These levels for today. Straddles, yeah, I believe so. That's the straddle that I had. Yeah, it was about 31, 32-ish. Which meant, actually, I didn't adjust my straddles yet. Give me 1 second here. Okay, and now I adjusted the straddle levels. Yeah, it's about 32 points. 31, 32. It was 32 at around 9 o'clock, and I think at around 9:32 it was 31. I'm a little cheesed here because I was short. I was short from 71.80 on ES, and I took profit at 71.72-ish. Well, my initial take profit was like 71.69, but I ended up taking it off at 71.72, thinking that we might just chop around before the 8:30 news, and I wanted out. 8:30 news came. Yeah, exactly, pre-AM, or yeah, pre-open, or pre-market, whatever you want to call it. News came. It wasn't all that bad, but Trump started tweeting about Iran, and I think that's when things started to really turn a little. I don't love taking pre-market trades, but there was a 15-minute candle that I really liked that ultimately led to the 1 hour candle. So the 15-minute candle is a just top wick, high volume, higher than previous volume top wick, which is basically when I entered. And the 1 hour also ended up closing a doji candle at about that's the 7 o'clock candle, so which closes at 8. Basically supported the move down, and on top of that you had the SMT divergence between ES and NQ highs. So we're looking at Friday's highs didn't get taken out on ES, it just left it short, and then NQ swept it. And when you get like a higher volume top wick like that, and or a doji, if you're watching the 1 hour, I would typically go short, and I did, but I did it based on a 15-minute, and I took profit way too early. Oh yeah, 10 a.m. news, that's going to be a good one too. It looks like the gap is filled for the day. I also based my trade off of this level here, the 7150, only to realize, so on the top right hand corner of the screen, you have the positioning breakdown by strike, but it's the daily. Turns out it was incorrect. So I was just super lucky. It's the way I see it. Because the breakdown by strike actually looks like this. Whenever it'll load. Yeah, it actually looks like this. So I think I got a little lucky there. Because this is what turned my attention to that 7150 level. And on SPX, well, I guess on ES, the SPX equivalent would have been 145, 7145. And normally when I see like a massive position like I saw before, it basically suggests that, hey, we might reject around here. So I thought I better look at the charts. And then when that setup came, it was perfect. The only problem is the positioning data was completely off, and checking the OptionsDepth Discord, it sounds like a lot of people were having issues too. So it wasn't just me. And one of the ways to circumvent that is to select the strike a specific expiration, being today's expiration, and it shows the actual, as opposed to the preset ODT. Anyways, all that to say, this was insignificant. And the setup on a technical analysis basis was kind of perfect. Let's go over to the OptionsDepth chart here. All this should be correct. It looks like positioning has changed. There used to be a blue cluster here that I was paying attention to. So I thought we might run down to 7100, or even 7090. 7090 would be perfect with the downside pivot that Alma has and the straddle low. But the positioning has changed since. So I'm just going to zoom into this a little. Disregard that massive 8,000 position sizing at 7175 for now. Just have to remember that it's there, and it's what's driving this negative gamma for the most part. The 7175, 7165, and 7150, all darker red, causing this darker red. Yeah, these positions are pretty small here. They're all under 1,000. Actually, they're all about like 500 in sizing. So it's just not much going on here. I would say this is light gamma, and I think for the most part it is light gamma. I mean, you're getting readings of like negative 58, 40, and as you go up, it increases. So down here is where you experience a light gamma, 7120 and lower. Yes, it goes positive, but very light. Alma noted that the centroid she has at 7138.92, and this line drawn down to 7125 is locally supportive. So which is why I kind of show two centroids. It should theoretically be a range. 71.25 can be sticky as long as downside pivots hold. Downside pivot is 70.94. And the target, downside target, should we break that pivot and spool down, is 70.40. Pivot is a low probability reversion line. Market is betting on local vol decline here, and vol up only beyond the pivot down to the target. That is very supportive. Oh, one other thing that I was watching was the VIX on the 5-minute chart when I entered. The VIX had swept a previous day low. So figured if something were to happen, it would probably happen there at around 7:35, because we swept like a previous day low on VIX. The setup was just, it had really good confluence, so that was the main reason why I entered, even though it was pre-market. Again, not a huge fan of pre-market plays, but when something shows up like that, I'd have to pay attention to it. Just way too much confluence. Now look at the daily chart. Zero gamma line right over here at around 71.36, 71.35. With the potential, some support around here. Yeah, I'm probably gonna wait until like the 10 o'clock news. Before doing anything. Positioning is changing quite a bit. I think Warsh is speaking at 10 today too. And then I think today is like the last day prior to the expiration of the ceasefire. So Trump's probably gonna tweet a few things here and there from a quote-unquote negotiation. One thing worth noting is that the weekly report, Alma did note that Tuesday, the steepness of the short skew trade declines as there is relatively less call buying compared to put selling. Here, downside is more supported. Path of the least resistance is upward. Zoma makes it possible to move through 7126.66. Now that's a weekly, so she comes up with these views on Sunday. So we have to take that with a grain of salt, I think. And use her daily levels as the updated version, if you will. Like she notes on the upside pivot at 7166 and the target at 7177. This is the right tail that market prices in, a very high probability reversion target back down to the centroid. So if we hit 7177, we are likely to reject and come back down to 7125. But the only way we'll break through it is if we oscillate around there for quite some time. Basically consolidate and build liquidity there and then pump. Got 4 more minutes until the news. Do you have any levels for today, Koshik? It's at 7180, yes. 7180, yes. That would be 14 points from here. So we're looking about 7145 SPX. Okay. All right. See that 7150 that's growing in size? I don't want to see it past that at all. I actually want to see it reject it. That would be like a pretty good rejection play. But I don't know if we get there. Also, there's a chance that we just grind it out too. And then when we grind it out, oh sorry, I'm not showing the right chart here. The 7150 is growing in size. Prior update was 2600 and now it's at 4300. And it's growing, yeah, so I'll be watching that level. It's just a pullback. I don't, the overnight lows already were taken out. Normally I would like to play along off the overnight lows, but we had just opened and we had swept and there was no SMT or anything between ES and NQ. So it would have just been a blind entry to go long. Well, on top of that, we did gap fill, I guess. All right, so that was a 10 a.m. news. Let's see what came of it. U.S. home sales change month over month. It's actually good news. It looks like it was reasonably decent news. Let's see. I want to see if Warsh is on yet. Probably have that playing in the background. Oh, here it is. I'm not sure if it even started yet. Yeah, it looks like it didn't really start yet. Or the live feed that Financial Juice takes you to. It is live, but I'm not seeing a live feed yet. It's just saying coverage begins momentarily. I would love to short some more. You know, I'd love to short down to the downside pivot, but Yeah, based on the data, Claude is trying to tell me to go long. Or not long, but play a pin to the upside towards 7180 or 7170. Oh, it's starting now. All right, from a positioning perspective, we're seeing this cluster now of dealer short positions, which is dealer negative gamma, localized negative gamma. I suspect we're going to stay within this cluster. Guess we're just going to drift up. Holy smokes. All right, so they're just speaking about his resume right now. This is probably like an hour and a half to 2 hours, I would imagine, if he's testifying before Senate. I was looking at yesterday's report from Alma. It was a daily level, and she was talking about if 7090 held, that we would pin said if 7090 held, we would pin 7110. And we ended up closing at 7109. So playing a pin would be a long butterfly, for instance, where your risk might be somewhere around $2 or $200, $2 in premium, $3 in premium, but your payout would have been close to somewhere around 900, maybe even 1,200 bucks. But that was she did note that we would see a pin at 7110. And looking at the positioning yesterday, it made a lot of sense for the 7110 pin. And I'm gonna see if I can pull that up here. Yeah, so this is the positioning without intraday updates. So this is the daily positioning that we get after midnight. And 7110 happens to be the largest dealer long gamma position. So typically we do see that SPX tends to settle at an ODTE strike, where positioning is dealer positive, like a dealer positive gamma level. Not always, but when it's dealer influenced, then you often see that happen. Elizabeth Warren is speaking right now. Yep. Oh, if today's it is like this, I wonder how Senate politics would be during. So the centroid for today pretty much lines up the upside pivot on the weekly that she had provided at 71.38 level. She being Alma, of course. $71.84. That would be nice. Pretty darn close to a sweep too, eh? They'll sweep today's highs for sure. But whether or not we take out Friday's highs. Oh, I guess, yeah, that'd be extremely close. About 1 point away. 1 to 2 points away. I really don't want to mess around in the middle here. And these introductions are really long. The value area high for Friday, I'm just looking at it right now. I have at 7177. Yes, around there. 7178. Just depends which time frame we're looking at. Yeah, around 77, 7177, 78. Between the 5-minute, 15-minute, and the 1 hour that I'm paying attention to. 4 hour, or the 1 day, looks like it's yeah, it is your level actually. So you're looking at the higher time frame. Let me check the 4 hour. Yeah, 4 hour and 1 day, showing the value area high at exactly the level you specified. Okay, makes sense. See that value area high short there? That was tough, man. I wanted to short it, but I just didn't want to touch this in the middle. NQ had a nice 5-minute top wick there. And positioning is changing quite a bit. But that was the top of, I almost hit Alma Centroid. We ended up hitting 71.37 instead of 38. So, and now we're back at the low end of that range she specified as being pretty sticky. Yeah, it's just messing around between these two range, the two levels in this range. Yeah, this is going to be very interesting because if we can break out of 7150 and break up, then we're probably going to see 7175, 7170, 7175. It's going to take a lot to bust through that 7150. Yeah, I would I wouldn't even have to imagine it. I would imagine like it's got to be something that's happening right now as we speak, right? And we are in this negative gamma pocket, so we can definitely see a thrust up. But for now, there seems to be like a cap on the market with 7150 being the high of that cap. And even Alma noted that the market is betting on an upside squeeze, so they're positioning for it. And I'd be curious to see if Claude is correct in selecting a pin at 7170. Sounds like Warsh is saying all the right things. He's preaching about Fed independence. So on the daily, we're trying to stay out of the negative gamma zone. This is why I like to put some weight on the daily gamma charts. But intraday, we're showing negative gamma. We're in negative gamma based on the updated positioning. Yeah, and it's like one of the major changes. Well, quite a bit has changed actually, but 7150, it was such a, it only showed a slight positive gamma position prior to market open, and then once market opened, positioning came on, and we see a 7150, 7150, 4800 in sizing. That's a dealer negative position. So a dealer negative gamma position, essentially. And I believe those positions that came on, let's see here. Okay, so they resolved the issue. All right, so 7150. We're showing customer calls. So they're long calls. They're betting on upside break. Definitely need some news to really push it up, though. Because naturally, the 7150 will act as like a rejection spot, given this small positive gamma cluster, or positive gamma positioning. Oops.
Severe than it was some years ago. Hardworking Americans are no doubt feeling it. I think that means a regime change in the conduct of policy. I think that means a different new inflation framework. I look forward to working with my colleagues at the Fed, if confirmed, to achieve that. I think it means, as you suggested, using tools differently.
A new inflation framework. That's what Warsh said. YM is helping carry this trade down, or help carry an ES move down. NQ is pretty neutral here.
let me ask, did the Juggernaut Fund or THSDFS LLC invest in any companies affiliated with President Trump? That have facilitated China's or financing vehicles established by Jeffrey Epstein?
Take and then
Per share agreement.
is it the market maker sell model?
It's its monetary policy. The second is its credibility. And the scandals that you talked about, and the scrubs you talked about, went to the core of credibility that is certainly
You
that.
answered my question. That's why I asked. You have $100 billion undisclosed assets. What I'm asking is, are any of those with this outfit that invests in companies affiliated with President Trump's family, companies that have facilitated money laundering, Chinese controlled companies, or financing companies like Jeffrey Epstein's? Yes or no question.
Senator, I am tirelessly the ethics officials in the office of government.
Yes, and you have not
Don't do an ethics degree with me. You can't have a paid senator to sell all of my financial assets.
Quite the back and forth between Warsh and Elizabeth Warren.
What I'm telling you is that those assets that you represent in this juggernaut will be sold if I'm confirmed before
let me
I take
follow up.
office and sign the oath of
Let
office.
me follow up. Disclose how you plan to disclose and divest these secret assets. I'm sure you understand.
All right, this thing's distracting me. I'm gonna turn it down here. Yeah. I mean, NQ is still not moving much. YM is definitely pulling back or moving down. You got a, I guess, somewhat of an SMT, a bit of a divergence, I guess, between ES and NQ, the 830 high and the 1015 high. But I don't know if I would have played it. Like, I saw the 5-minute and yeah, like I feel like you can get a nasty impulse that will suddenly like show up just based on a Trump tweet right now, or this meeting that Warsh has right now, or I guess he's testifying in front of Senate. Yeah, I don't think I'm in love with anything here. We're near value area low. I can definitely see a market maker sell model. I can see this as a potential top. If we want to set out that top and then head back down towards 6,900, that would be ideal. Because we haven't pulled back at all during this move up that we've had for like, I don't know, what was it, 13 days? 14 days? Whatever it is. We just haven't moved up at all, or pulled back at all. So even if we want to go to like 7,300 or something like that, we got to pull back, I would imagine. 939. I see. You're gonna potentially long off that, assuming that you get like a decent volume candle that confirms. Yeah, this looks good. All I don't know if we get that double bottom you're looking for, but I can see why it would be a good spot though. So if there's a candle confirmation, that'd be golden, or at least a scalp back up. Value area low, or even POC. I think the POC is sitting at around that Alma centroid essentially. I will look to 7094 or 7090, that area. Which I think, hang on, let's see here. Another 15 points down. 15 points down. Okay, that's going to take us to 7,100. So there's that naked POC at 7140 ES, which would be a very interesting spot. 7140, 7137, depending on which time frame you're looking at. I think the naked POC on NQ essentially caused the bounce along with the ES and NQ sweep. So NQ swept the overnight lows this morning at around 9:30, right? But we ended up spooling down a little bit further and touching that naked POC, or the POC from yesterday. It's naked because it's been untouched or untested. So we ran down, touched that. That gave an opportunity for ES to also sweep the overnight lows. And from there, that's when I guess we got that pump. But now, if we're headed down, I would like to see some sort of reaction around that naked POC. No, I don't think I asked anything. I'm just talking about naked POCs. So we're down here now. There could be a scalp off of here, but I don't think I would. I'm not going to try it personally, but I think you might get a candle. If you get a candle that confirms, that'd be perfect. I would like to see us run down towards that 7140, 7137. NQ's not playing on this down move. It's just retracing. It's nowhere near its low of day. YM's basically driving this. $71.13. $71.10. I mean, I can definitely. Oh, there's your bounce. Your bounce is printing off 71.10. I think that was a low. 71.11 on SPX. And it kind of works because you got that cluster. It's the bottom of the negative gamma cluster and the edge of the positive gamma cluster. Hopefully this runs to value area low. Get a nice 5-minute bottom wick close too. That candle, the 5-minute closes in about 30 seconds.
So remember the main point: when you have these ascending positions sitting outside, you see this almost looks like
Yeah,
a
it's pretty
bird stairs.
tight. I'm kind of shocked at how tight it is on the 1 minute.
Short side.
Yeah, I want to see us run down towards that naked POC on ES. So we'll see. The 4-hour also closed doji. That is very interesting. I think I'm beginning to like more and more downside.
Representation of customers using option.
I think I got a voice note from False Signals. Oh, shoot, it was from like 10 minutes ago. I didn't check Discord. Crap. I'm gonna listen to that. Give me a second.
Customers using options instead of futures or one equity, whatever. The point is, just like it works on the downside when you have customers that buy a bunch of puts, you guys probably know by now that that does not mean a good load. In fact, most of the time, the decay of those puts as they expire compels the hedge buyback. That in and of itself is meant to give that liquidity buoyancy. And of course,
Honestly, this might be a good no trade. I probably won't be looking at anything until that naked POC hits, and then seeing if we do something around there.
when customers are hedged, owning those puts, they don't have the same need to sell their equity exposure, right? So all of this to say the same thing that we drill all the time is these positions are not, unique. They're all modular. So take those.
Yeah, that's a good read. I'd consider that a win, Koshik. That to me was a very tough short. I know I talked about it for a moment. I was like, we're a value area high, 5-minute. I think it was like a 5-minute top wick on NQ. And you kind of got one on ES2 that was higher volume. And then a bit of a SMT. There's something about today why I couldn't enter. And it might be worse speaking. But I think like the best entry I had was probably this morning off the 15-minute candle, where the risk was like 3 points. Pre-market, unfortunately. All right, so there's the naked POC on the 4-hour, the 1-hour, 15-minute, 5-minute. It's all hitting. But I suspect this is going to see Alma's downside pivot at 70.94. There's a negative 1,000 tick indicator that went off for me. As you said, that was the market maker sell model. It was so spot on. Yeah, the 4-hour doji, the 1-hour doji, 15-minute top wick, SMT at the highs, Friday's highs. It just lended itself to a downside. Along with the market maker sell model. Obviously, I don't think we hit any. Oh, actually, on the 5-minute, we did hit some sort of fair value gap. On 15-minute, not so much. But that fair value gap also happened to be the value area high. Yeah, still nothing. This thing's gonna run. This is the downside pivot and the straddle low. Question is, do I want to knife catch this? And I'm not really in favor of that. Not from what I'm seeing here anyways. On the dealer positioning charts. Wouldn't this is not a bad attempt to knife catch, but I don't think I can get in front of this. And normally when I get a negative 1,000 tick indicator, we get a bounce. Yeah, I guess Elizabeth Warren is destroying Warsh. Oh no, actually, it looks like someone else is talking now. I'm just gonna look at financial juice. Fed chair nominee Warsh. Fed holds onto its forecast longer than it should. Pakistan information ceasefire ends at 4:50 a.m. Pacific time. A decision from Iran to attend the talks before the end of the 2-week ceasefire is critical. Pakistan formal response from Iran's side about confirmation of delegation to attend Islamabad peace talks is still awaited. (4:50 Pacific time. 4:50 a.m. Pacific time. Okay. This is all driven by the Pakistan information minister. Yeah, I figured that much. we're just gonna blast through everything, eh? There's yesterday's low a day on SPX. Right, downside pivot is low probability reversion line, so we're not getting that reversion because it's low probability. Market is betting on local vol decline here and vol up. So volatility is up only beyond the pivot down to the target that is very supportive. Target's at 70.40. Quite a ways down there. Margin of error is 70.25. That is a reversion target back up to 70.60. And 70.60 is pinning. I can't see us getting past 70.70. $70.65. There's like over 5,000, well, more like 6,000, 7,000 orders there. And it is a put credit spread. So a short put spread. So they are betting that the market will hold above this to get full credit by the end of the day. Yeah, there's that sweep on ES. Damn. It was like I guess that was the regular market hour low. It's a good reaction off there. Yeah, I hope you took it. I didn't, that was a really good one. Yeah, that was basically the SPX sweep. Very good longs. Holy smokes. Yeah, I think marketing would have been a bit tough there too. Would have lost a few points, I would imagine. But it looks like that 70.90 level is holding. That's a straddle low. So like these straddle lows, downside pivots, and then if you get like a sweep that's kind of close by. Damn, that was perfect. That was 15 points, and that took less than 4 minutes. Insane. Man, this is painful to watch. I should have paid a little bit more attention to the ES charts rather than trying to make some sense of this dealer profile chart. Looking at way too many things. Okay. Let's see. What's the discount based off of? Is that an indicator or is just something that you mark on yourself? Oh, I see. Okay, okay. And then you make the conversion. It's pretty good. I would have marketed that order. Actually, most of my entries are market, so yeah. I don't often do limit orders. There are times I do limit orders, but I often wait for something to kind of happen there. And if I waited for the 5 minute there, it wouldn't have worked out anyways for me. Those are some pretty good discount zones. Like I can't see it on my on my ES chart at all. Wait, are you marking the discount as a value area low for the day, or how are you doing it for SPY?
Short puts and flip them to the upside instead. Do the same thing.
That's
If the
nice.
reason is sending
And
down
that is,
so
man, that's crazy accurate for Val, because I don't have the same vals on ES. Like it doesn't convert to the same levels as you. Which is kind of cool. So however you're doing that, it's pretty good. Let me take a look at SPY. Are you just using regular trading hours? Yeah, even SPY yesterday was at 707. I think that's pretty much in line. Yeah, I'm still not getting the same thing. I feel like your discount one, I'm looking at, wait, give me one sec here. I'm seeing your discount one is the low of the day yesterday, and then discount two is the low of day of Friday. Am I right there? That would make sense to me. Oh, I guess I can do it on here. Yeah. So this is what I'm seeing as your discount one. This is discount one, and this is discount two. Regular trading hours only. Okay. Use multiple time period charts indicator to differentiate the days. Multiple time period chart indicator. Wait, you mean from a volume profile perspective, or? Because like my volume profile is already session based, so it's per day. Whoa, my bad. I assume it's this first one. Oh, I see. Multi-time period charts updated. Low to high? Not entire session. Okay, so just low to high. Or high to low. High to low would work too, right? Like for a red day. Now you transfer the same levels to US. Are you talking about the value area low, value area high, and POC? Or are you talking about the low of day and high of day? Is a discount area it looks very much like the low of day on each day. But the value area though, for some reason ES and US 500 by Capital which are different. Yeah, I think your POCs are correct. Wait, let me see. I'm just gonna double check your POCs. POC 105. Oh, I see. I see what you mean. I see what you mean. That's interesting that you draw volume profile that way. Between the highs and the lows and the lows and the highs. Now, I'm just trying to think this out. From a volume profile perspective, I guess my question would be, why just a low to high, like the swing high to swing low and swing low to swing high? Because when looking at volume profile, you kind of want to see where volume builds up in terms of price, right? So, I mean, this looks like value area low looks like where the POC would be, or based on if you include this price action here, because it's important where the price consolidates too, right? From a volume profile perspective. I mean, don't get me wrong, if it works for you. But I like the session-based volume profile and then marking out the high of day and a low of day for potential sweeps. Oh, and you got this. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Yeah, that bounce that I'm seeing on ES is off of RTH, regular trading hour lows. I think. Yeah. That's what I'm seeing. SPX didn't quite hit it. SPY just didn't quite hit it. But that's a very interesting way to draw it. I'm gonna have to pay attention to this. Yeah, and I agree. Drawing it on SPY is definitely the way to go. If drawing it on a chart like SPX just doesn't follow volume the same way, since it's not even actually traded. It's all simulated volume, right? ES is where the volume is at, but you have to convert it. It kind of blows. I mean, you had to convert SPY too. I was thinking about a short, but didn't end up entering. And it was off this 0 gamma line. Off the 0 gamma line, 5-minute ADMA, 5-minute doji on ES. But yeah, I missed it. To be more specific, many use 70% volume areas, but 68% works more accurate to the tick. That kind of work I did. Yeah. I agree with you. 68 makes more sense even from a standard deviation perspective, right? I think 68 is the real number. I'm not sure why 70 is used as a default. I actually had mine set to 68 at some point, and I ended up abandoning it for the most part. Yeah, I'm pretty sure mine is just default now at 70. But it is a very interesting way to draw a BP. I ended up resorting to, yeah, I already saw that change. Interesting. And SPY. Let me try ES. See how much it changes. Tightened up. See the latest pick I sent you, POC to the tick. Yeah. It was pretty good. POC to the tick. Oh, you're using US 500 and you're using range bars. Yeah, I think ES had that same POC here. Let me see. Maybe I gotta move to the 1 minute. POC's here. Oh, I see. Your POC is a little bit higher. Just slightly higher. 3 points higher. I don't think this will change the POC. It just changes the value area. Okay. That's what I thought. But you're converting it from SPY. And you're doing pretty accurate conversions too. Like normally they're pretty rough. Even from ES to SPX is rough for me. Rough as in like within like 2 to 3 ticks, maybe 5 ticks at most. Yeah, SPY to US 500. Yeah, I see. I see. So for SPX, I actually use to get the overnight price action on SPX, the converted version of ES. I normally use spread decks. Like it's called SPX, but its data provider is spread decks. That's normally what I use, and it just auto calculates everything for me. Like it's already calculated. But the SPY to US 500 conversion, that's an interesting one. But I don't reference the spread decks SPX 500 during regular trading hours. I would only watch regular SPX. But yeah, I don't look at volume profile on SPX at all. It's here on this chart. But it's only because I don't want to turn it off and on when I cycle between ES and SPX. Oh, you just use the candles. Oh, that makes a lot of sense, actually. That would beat the conversion, because oftentimes, like, from day to day, even ES and SPX, like, there's like a 3-point flux, I believe, depending on when, I guess, if it's earlier on in the contract expiration or later in the contract expiration. Like, I think the 3-point give take could be like 5 points earlier on in the ES contract expiration. And I'm talking about just like when you do the conversion from like 50 points or 45. I think right now it's sitting at around 30, I think. Yeah, about maybe 20, 23. 35. Yeah, about 35 points, I think. That's a difference between SPX and ES right now. See, this worked perfectly. Exactly where your POC is at, rough, well, pretty good, pretty close to your POC. You have the 0 gamma line intraday. I'm just gonna check the daily here. Now you're in this new contour here. Reject 0 gamma on the daily. Blast through towards a gamma trough. Driven by positioning between here. This looks like a put spread. Some decent support here. Kind of liking along. Am I crazy? Straddle low. VIX is climbing. I want VIX to sweep that 20. NQ's a bit slower today. Yeah, I want to think this might run down towards 70.70. And this would be a decent scalp long, especially with the SMT at the bottom here. Assuming it holds, of course. Doesn't seem that high probability to me, but so low. Low is 84. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna sit on that one trade from this morning. I'm tempted to go long here, but bit of risk there. We're looking at 6 points, 7 points of risk. I just don't trust this one. don't think I'm gonna get in front of this. Everything's kind of pointing towards 70 on SPX. And VIX has a level at 20 that I'm watching here. Would be Monday's highs. Yeah, they're gonna toy with me in this area. Who's this?
Execute on a series of policy reforms. And I believe the economy can be stronger. I believe inflation can be lower. And I believe real take-home pay can be higher. I think the Fed is not blameless for the divergence you described between those that have financial assets and those that don't. Had the balance sheet not been brought from the $800 billion level when I showed up in the Fed in 2006 to an order of magnitude higher, if the Fed had kept a smaller balance sheet, the way the senator I just talked about 2 moments ago, I think interest rates could be lower, inflation could be better, the economy could be stronger.
Yeah, you discussed your theory of the case in that regard. But I think you agree with recognition. Listen, in your testimony, recognition that this is not a big plus economy. Your testimony, you note the importance of price stability and correctly note that inflation means people's purchasing power, particularly among low-income groups. But I also notice your testimony did not begin to discuss the Fed's other mandate, and that's to maximize employment. Inflation is critically important. If you don't have a job, you're in trouble. The Fed's mandate to maximize employment is equally important to its price stability mandate. And are you concerned about weak job
This is a question for the Senator. University Morehouse out of time. So appreciate the question. I have the answer.
I know you wanted to attend I'm sorry.
Everybody wants to do Morehouse, by the way, but I am from Charleston, Southern Fox.
I appreciate your having me. Because you got it. So if you can't get in the Morehouse, go to Stanford. Everybody's got jokes up here, so we'll go to Senator Brett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I get started, I want to emphasize that transparency and accountability at the Fed are absolutely vital.
Well, they totally cut him off
Government,
based on time.
agencies, that so when we're talking about billions of dollars being spent on renovations, it's absolutely appropriate for Congress to ask questions, and it is absolutely appropriate for Congress to engage. We need to understand where the substantial amount of money has gone, and we need to ensure that every institution, including the Fed, is always making decisions that are in the best interest of the American people. So I urge everyone involved to make sure that any outstanding questions on this matter come to fruition.
For the main point, when you have these ascending positions to the upside, like you see this, it almost looks like inverted stairs or something. On the left side of the VS trading profile, or the dealer short side, what you have is literally representation of customers using options instead of futures or delta one equity, whatever. The point is, just like it works on the downside, when you have customers that buy a bunch of puts, you guys probably know by now that that does not mean that we go lower. In fact, most of the time, the decay of those puts as they expire compels the hedge buyback, and that in and of itself can sometimes be enough to create buoyancy. And of course, when customers are hedged, owning those puts, they don't have the same need to sell their equity exposure, right? So all of this to say the same thing that we drill all the time is these positions are not, unique. They're all modular. So take those short puts and flip them to the upside instead. Do the same thing. And the reason the ascending pattern is so important is because it creates a specific consistency in the eventual charm path whereby there's no degradation. So obviously the intraday profile so far down here is a little bit different. It's mostly 71, 20, 25, and 30 that create that little bit of an inverted stair pattern. Whereas this morning we were looking at positions running up from 71 half to 75. So a little bit different, but the same idea down here, where all signs point to either cross the threshold, right now it's 71.30 intraday, or fade back to 71.10. So what tends to happen again is because these positions create negative gamma to the upside, which is going to hit a crescendo or a maximum around that largest dealer short strike, and positive gamma to the downside, which again is going to hit a local maximum around the dealer's largest long strike. The market will tend to do this where it kind of spikes up quickly when there's some real buying. But then, unless it crosses over some important threshold, it fades back and then it's settling back down into the dealer's long gamma area. So for me, what I'm watching right now locally is how do we handle 71.30 through 35? We don't seem to cross through it. We get things like put flies or put spreads targeting 71.10. These spikes, if we don't cross the level, should be tradable also today, where you don't need to just set up a fly like we do in the framework. You could do things like just buy the 71, 20, 30 put spread and scalp it, or close it if it crosses 35 or 40. A lot of ways you can handle this. Ultimately, too, you could play a fly around 71.10. This travel right now is $23. A 15-point wide, or I should say 30-point wide, point to point, wing to wing, should price pretty cheaply right now. And there is pressure aligned on both zero-day profile, intraday, and beginning of day that points to 71.10. These trades are forgiving, so just remember how it works. You need to kind of set it up so that your target is where you want to go. You sell the strike that you intend to go to. Right now, for me, that's 71.10, and you just cap your risk with the wings. And so it looks to me like 71.25 is a decent enough upside target. And then you just wrap that with a downside wing to cap your risk. That would be 70.95. So again, 70.95, 71.10, 71.25 put fly. That does best if this type of behavior actually continues throughout the day. Importantly, winds up giving us a little bit of settling down type of behavior on 71.10 yesterday's close again.
All right, so I'm actually okay about this price action and not entering that trade. I mean, it would have given at least 5 points, 5 to 10 points, depending on the entry of the trade, but I would have likely held to some value area low or something, or even VWAP. But right now, that 70-90 level. That shows up on the breakdown by strikes, on the OD charts. 70-90, we enter there, going through to 70-80, maybe even 70-70, if we can go through. I want to think Alma's original thought that for downside, the downside target was 70-40 with a margin of error for 70-25. In that area, there's a reversion back up to 70-60. I would think that changed because this bad boy came on here, the 70-65 and 70-70 positioning. About 5,000-6,000 in sizing. And this is a short spread, so a short put spread, which basically supports the market here. It might only act as temporary support if we should blast lower due to some news or some vol uptick. There's a put spread up here too. 71.25 and 71.30. Looks like it just came on. But we have to be able to leave that 70-90 level. It's like a pocket of dealer negative gamma, but we're at the edge of it. I'm a little too 50-50 here, which is why I didn't want to enter longs, even though we got like that nice SMT. Next good reversal point I see is 71.09 ES, 71.09. From that low, you're looking at 10 points. Yeah, I would agree. From this low, you're looking at 70, 80, 70, 74. Yeah, I would agree. I like that. Especially with that 70-70 acting as support. But in general, like, intraday gamma looks pretty light here. Hang on, this is what I'm gonna do. It's 11, it's almost 12 o'clock. So what I'm gonna do is feed this into Claude. I've been trying to feed an intraday position in just to see what it says. I don't know about this. I think Claude might be incorrect. They're suggesting a pin of 70.90 into close, which you wouldn't play here anyways. Paper long. Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't even pull that trigger on any of my accounts. For the long. Yeah, so paper long sounds about good. But I would like to see a run up. I mean, maybe 20 points up from here. If we do run up. Yeah, about 20 points up. Pretty darn close to VWAP. And you got a dealer long position there. If that 70-90 level doesn't want to break today. Makes a lot of sense. Good paper long. There you go. It's gonna make me regret not entering. But I'm a little too 50-50 here, so it is what it is. Giving me FOMO. Entered off the 2-minute inversion. Oh man, you're playing a 2-minute. Looking pretty good. That's value area low there. So that initial reaction, I guess, is expected. And then maybe a power through. That would have been a hard one for me to hold if I entered. Charm is suppressive for the most part. Let me double check on the daily. Yeah, it's like Charm is relatively neutral on the daily. On the intraday, very light. Also extremely light. I would not really pay attention to it until after 2 o'clock maybe. Extremely light, but generally suppressive. But I wouldn't even, just looking at the value of Charm, I wouldn't even account for it right now. I like a run up to 7110 SPX if we should continue running up. We're actually pretty close to the NQ VWAP. Oh, come on. Suppressive means it may act like resistance. More like, I guess when I say suppressive, it's just, if it's going to go up, it's going to grind up because Charm is acting against it, or Charm is leading dealer hedging flows to sell. So if we go up, it's going to be like a chop up. If we go down, if it's the Charm flows would basically support it. Poor wording. It would help the move down if the Charm is suppressive. I guess when you see the yellow Charm, it just means that there's downward pressure. And if you see the blue Charm, it's upward pressure. That's how I would generally view it. Yeah, generally speaking, I guess I would see it like a path of resistance if you're expecting the market to go up. But again, Charm is pretty much a moot point right now because it's only at 14. So you're looking at 14 times -2 would give you how much ES contracts are being sold every like 5 minutes. So you're looking at like 29, 30 ES contracts being sold. So not much at all. Yes, correct. If you're in a blue area and the blue area is dark, or not dark, sorry, bright, like it's more blue. See, like right here where I have my mouse, like it has a reading of like 300. So if your reading is like above 50, I'd start to say, hey, yeah, the influence is starting to kick in. Once you get into the 100, yeah, perfect. And then everything above 100, I would say it's influential. Just multiply the Charm, which is -250, let's say here, -250 by -2, and that'll give you how many ES contracts need to be bought up every 5 minutes. So that would be close to 500, right? So oftentimes Charm is just not charming until towards the end of the day. Like the last hour. But I do check Charm at times just to make sure, because sometimes you might get a reading of like 50 in the morning and you're like, okay, wait a second, Charm does have an impact here. Um, hmm. Actually, I don't think you can. And the reason why, so don't get me wrong, it accounts for the next day positioning to some degree, which is why like both gamma and charm, the calculations include tomorrow's positionings, though it's less weighted. So let's say like today's ODTE is like 80 to 90% weighted as an example. I don't know what the calcs are. I think that's proprietary to OD and VS's way of calculating it. Yeah, so if ODTE is 80 to 90% weighted for the gamma and charm charts, the next day would be somewhat like, let's say 5% or something like that. And then the next day is 3% and 1% beyond that. But large positionings tend to also be the larger positionings tend to have more weighting on the charts, even if it's like down the road. Like let's say it's like Friday's position, for instance, it could impact the gamma charts. Now they don't tell us how much it impacts it, but the gamma chart and the charm chart is basically that calculation that OD does accounts for all that. Obviously, ODTE is heavily weighted. Towards the end of the day, I think, let me see here. Charm chart. So you can see upcoming day, but it's not accurate because the positioning for tomorrow, it hasn't been finalized yet, right? So with a lot of volume coming in, let's say there's going to be some trading volume that comes in the next 3 hours. And then in the last hour and in the final 10 minutes, you get the most positioning that comes in for tomorrow. And from there, you'll have a more accurate charm update near the close or at the close. But oftentimes I don't like looking at the options depth chart until midnight the next day, which I'm not up for. But I'll check it like the next day when I'm awake and to see what's happening, to see what positioning says. And we're just doing nothing right now in the markets. Market's just waiting, consolidating here. Yeah, this is what I was afraid about my long. If had I entered, I was thinking it might not give me the exit I want without chopping me up first. And it's primarily hanging my head on that 70-90 level that I'm seeing. It's the largest positioning locally in this area, and it's really trying to push through it. 7150 ES. Yeah, I would have liked 7150 too. It's basically where VWAP is, right? I mean, we did hit value area low. So depending on your entry, there's like decent profits to be made there for a scalp for the long. But I would have definitely wanted 7150. And positioning kind of supports a potential move there. But I recognize that this is not the only flow in town, right? Oh, nice. I see it. Yesterday was brutally boring in the afternoon. We ended up settling at 7109, I believe, which was Alma's pin, assuming that 7090 held. And it did hold, and it did pin, and the market just consolidated there for, I think, 5 hours, well, 4 hours. I don't know that today, I mean, we could totally do the same thing as yesterday, but say the pin is 7070 based on intraday positioning. We still got another 23 points to go from here, right? But I don't think I'm going to bet on it because we can easily drift up towards that 7110 level, which would coincide with, I believe, the ES VWAP. And this daily gamma trough, like, this is why the daily, like, I have to pay attention to the daily levels. And you basically have a rejection of zero gamma. So you didn't, on a daily perspective, price action did not want to run into the negative gamma level. Maybe if news came out and said, hey, yeah, the war is over again, we might get a nice pump up and pump through. But we didn't end up getting that. We ended up getting bad news from the war. And we ended up drifting down, and you can see here the gamma trough is almost magnetic. But here you don't really have a 70-70 level. There's nothing like, I can see why Alma was saying the 70-60 level, because it's like somewhat blue, but it's light. But now that intraday positioning came in, that 70-70, 70-65 put credit spread, or short put spread, whatever you want to call it, could be where gravity is going to take us. Oh yeah, it's already afternoon. Yeah, I think I'm gonna pause for lunch. Or I'm gonna take off for lunch and then I'll resume the stream tomorrow. And hopefully tomorrow brings some nice action too. Today was nice, but it would have been nice from an ICT perspective or regular trading hours. And then, but I essentially had an entry 3 points from the top and didn't hold for long. I think I only ended up with 8 points or something. So I'm pretty cheesed about that. It's hard to trust shorts in this market when the market just keeps on drifting up. But yeah, I'm going to take off, Koshik. You have a good one. Thanks for the lesson for how you drew VP. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow.